Well, congratulations on the third straight LSC conference tournament win. 32-1 now, I think it is. These three games, all the three wins are great, but what was the best thing you saw in these three games as far as, you kind of see you guys being sort of regional tournament ready after this experience, you'd say?
Well, I think to get ready for the regional, it's the whole body of work from, going to St. Joe's and playing Lincoln Memorial in South Carolina Aiken and the Small College Basketball Hall of Fame to start the year out. Those games are always great to play, and then obviously some non-conference games, the conference challenge, and then kind of ending up with the conference tournament, like you said. And those teams that we played at the conference tournament, Commerce was right there. They could have possibly got into the regional. They needed a few more wins, but then Angelo is in, and then obviously St. Edward's is in. So those are two really good teams that we could possibly face in the regional, but we've got a tough test coming up with Colorado Mesa.
This being your third straight title, I'm sure it doesn't get old, but what was different about this one than the past two?
I think this one was really special just because, one, we had, last year we won it, and it was a really tough game. Brandon Hall played really well and was the conference tournament MVP, and he was actually at the game on Sunday, so that's always pretty cool to have former players come back and support the guys that they played with, and I thought that was pretty special. And then just to come back in the way that we did, to be down at halftime and to be really resilient, and to have 4 sophomores out there starting and playing a lot of minutes, as well as Eric Mosley, a senior, and Jordan Collins, senior, and some others. But to have those 4 guys as sophomores, that kind of really says a lot about them, how fast they've matured and grew through the program.
What do you attribute to the momentum shift after the first half?
I think we've got the 2 best assistants in the country. I really believe that, in Coach Henderson and Coach Gove. And we got together at halftime. We talked a little bit. We made a few adjustments. But then I really think it comes down to the players. JoJo and Quay and John L. and Derek Geddes, Eric Mosley, Jordan Collins. Those guys all played really well in the second half. First half we played okay, but the ball didn't bounce our way. We missed some shots. We'd get a steal, but then we'd lose it out of bounds, and things just weren't going our way. And so those guys really turned it on. I think those guys were the reasons that we won the game.
Yeah, as of Sunday, you could say you've beaten everybody you've played this year. That's kind of feather in your cap. That not a lot of teams can say that.
I like that. Yes, it's nice. I like it.
What was the mindset at the half? Obviously there probably wasn't any panic or anything, but just what did you say to the team at the half coming down 13?
I said, guys, it's probably over. We should probably get on the road, grab something to eat. We got a long drive back. St. Ed's is so good, so well coached. They run their sets. They're very physical. They're strong. They missed some shots. They might have had a turnover here or there, and we started making some of our shots as well. So we crawled back in that game, and we've done that before in other games. And Eastern New Mexico played us really tough at their place this year. We had a tough one at home. We haven't had too many tough ones at home, but there's been some games this year that Lincoln Memorial. We were down by 3 with 5 seconds to go in the game, and you gotta stay focused. You gotta do the best that you can and hope that good things happen.
Looking ahead to this weekend, opening up with Mesa, they have a couple big guys in there. Just kind of what's the plan of attack?
I've just heard a little bit about Mesa. I haven't really watched them. We've watched a little bit of the conference championship game against Mines, and yeah, they've got a big kid that's really good. Obviously, they're really good to win their conference tournament. You have to be really good to win that many games in that short of a period of time, especially on being on the road, being at Dixon. So they didn't have a home court advantage. So they'll be ready to go. It'll be a big test for us. We don't have a lot of size. But they've got a really good big kid. I haven't really watched any tape on them yet. That's something that we're going to do today and tomorrow, and we'll get ready for them Saturday.
You guys have had a lot of success, obviously, this year and in years past. With the 2 deep runs, I think one in the Elite Eight and the Final Four, how do you guys pull from that going forward?
That's a good question. It's something that makes a big difference to be able to get into a regional. And 4 years ago, we got into the regional out at Colorado Mines and ended up being in the Sweet 16. And I think that really helped us for the following year when we went to the Final Four, and then this last year, the Elite Eight. And we've got guys on the team that have been to all of those. Jordan Collins has been to all of those, and Quay and JoJo. And then we've got some other guys, some young guys like John L., Zach Toussaint, Hayden Blankley. They haven't been to it. And I was actually just listening to one of those guys talk to him, either a mom or somebody after the game, and just kind of explaining the experience and how cool it was to be at the conference tournament. You're playing at a nice big arena, and it's a lot of fun. It's done the LSC does it very, very well. It was a great experience. The LSC tournament was a great experience for us. And then, like you said, those other tournaments, the regionals the last few years are a big experience, and our guys will draw off that. But you still got to go out and play the games. And Mesa's, like I said, Mesa's got a really good team, big guy that's going to be really tough for us to handle. And so we're going to have to play really well to advance, and then maybe get either Kingsville or Angelo.
You'll be at home too. That's got to be, how much of an advantage do you think it's going to be built in for you for 3 days? You can get the.
Well, we don't get any head starts. I wish they'd give us 10-0 to start for being at home, but they're not going to do that. It's going to be 0-0. Their record's going to be 0-0. Our record's going to be 0-0. You start a new season, and it doesn't matter if you're the 1 seed or the 8 seed. You got to go out and win the game to advance, and win and survive and move on. It's kind of the old cliche this time of year. So, there's a little advantage being at home, but when it really comes down to it, and the ball goes up in the air, there's really not a big advantage. You got to make shots, you got to play defense, and you got to do things that you've been doing all year long.
You mentioned earlier, a lot of teams from the LSC you could see again. What do you guys do differently whenever you have to play teams 2 to 3 times every season?
Well, I think you can make some small adjustments, but I think when that happens, when you play teams 3 or 4 times, they know you really well, you know them, and it's going to come down to execution. But before we worry about that, we're going to really focus on Mesa. And if we're lucky enough to get by Mesa, then we will play someone from the LSC, whether it's Kingsville or Angelo. And that's a tough matchup. Kingsville, we've had a good game with them down there this year at their place. And then Angelo, it's been just a back and forth game every time we played them this year.
What's it say about the level of competition in the LSC? 5 teams making up the 18 regional.
Yeah, it was a little concerned about that in the beginning of the year because the RMAC beat us head to head. But sometimes that just happens with matchups or who's playing who. And I think the top teams in our league were really good this year. I think we had a couple teams at the bottom maybe that weren't the best, but it says a lot about us. I think as a league that we've got 5 teams in. Could have possibly had 6. I think Lubbock Christian was right there. I actually think Tarleton and Commerce were right there as well. And then, Black Hill State, they were a 4 or a 5, and they actually dropped out. So, you got to stay strong down the stretch, and there's no guarantees. You really got to go win that conference tournament to make sure that you get in, unless you have a really strong record, because anything could happen. And it happened this year with Black Hill State. I feel bad for them not getting in the tournament.